welcome to Fun and Friends. I'm Avalon.
I'm Sabrina.
And welcome to the channel.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Yes.
We're currently reading Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas and enjoying the heck out of it.
Yeah, we like it so far. Neither of us have read this before, unlike the other books that we've read on this channel where she has read them and knows the outcome. Right now, we don't know the outcome, and I think that's really awesome because we're guessing in real time what, we're trying to put the pieces together for ourselves. But this last 2 chapters we did, they finally made it to this other kingdom. I don't know what it was called. And now she's preparing to fight other assassins that she doesn't know. But she has some cockiness to her. She's kind of arrogant going into it. Thinking she's already got it in the bag.
Well, and Sarah J. Maas is definitely a romance. So we already are starting to see that triangle romance that's starting to form between
the prince and the guard, the captain or whatever.
It's funny because I just did a TikTok for dressing up as one of the other Sarah J. Maas characters.
I helped.
I've read Court of Thorns and Roses. Absolutely loved it. Yeah. If you haven't read it, highly recommend it. I'm trying to get her to read it currently.
She gave me the book. I just haven't read it yet, but I will.
I dressed up as Elaine Archeron for a TikTok because I adore her character.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, good things. Okay, let's get into chapter 6.
Yes. 7.
7.
Oh, 7. We're even further.
I'm excited. Here we go. 7. Okay.
Chapter 7.
Get your tea, get your coffee, snuggle up with your dogs and cats.
Get ready to go.
We're ready.
Or if you're in the car, blast the heater, as I do, because that's my comfort setting.
Yeah.
How can you drink that much water after we went to the tea room?
Because tea makes me so dehydrated, so does coffee, so I just have to, chug water.
See, I'm the opposite. I just have to keep going to the bathroom over and over and over.
I'm there, but it's okay.
Okay, anyway.
Anyways.
Back to this. Chapter 7. Intrepiders signaled their arrival as they passed through the looming alabaster walls of Rithold. Crimson flags depicting gold wyverns flapped in the wind above the city. The cobblestone streets were cleared of traffic, and Selena, unchained, dressed, painted, and seated in front of Chartle, frowned as the odor of the city met her nose. You know, in the old medieval cities, they used to dump their chamber pots out the window into the street. I'm assuming that's why she's
and all the horse stench, horse feces and stuff. Yeah. It would stink a little bit.
Beneath the smell of spices and horse lay a foundation of filth, blood, and spoiled milk. Yum.
Spoiled milk.
The air held a hint of salty waters of Avery, different from the salt of Andover. This brought with it the warships from every ocean in Arela.
Warships. I thought you said worship. No, warship. I was like, who's worshipping what? No. Warships.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Merchant vessels crammed with goods and slaves, and fishing boats with half-rotted, scale-covered flesh that people somehow managed to eat. From the bearded peddlers to the servant girls carrying armfuls of hat boxes, everyone paused as the flag-bearers trotted proudly ahead, and Dorian Habivald waved. They followed the crown prince, who, like Chartle, was swathed in a red cape pinned over his left breast with a brooch fashioned after the royal seal.
So he's slothed over?
No, he has a cape that goes around him. Oh. And then he has a golden seal holding it
together. Okay.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones.
Yes.
They have it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The prince wore a golden crown upon his neat hair, and he had to conceal that he looked she had to concede that he looked rather regal. Young women flocked to him waving.
She's thinking he looks regal.
He looks regal. Mm-hmm.
For someone she hates.
Oh, I have to concede, he looks nice.
Regal. Very classy.
Just earlier, he's I have to concede that she looks nice.
Oh yeah, he was admiring her beauty from afar.
So now she's kind of doing the same thing. She's kind of doing the same thing. She's he looks kind of cute.
I just think everyone's hormones are just really high right now, so. What? I do. I think everyone's just kind of in a frenzy.
We're okay, you look cute, okay, you look cute.
You look cute, yeah. Hey.
Young women flocked to them, waving. Dorian winked and grinned. Selena couldn't help but notice the sharp stares from the same women when he beheld her in the same prince's retinue.
Retinue?
Yeah, like they were like jealous that she was on the float with him.
Oh, gotcha.
Because they're like, what's that girl doing there?
Who is she? Who is she?
That's my prince up there.
Yeah.
Get away from my prince.
It's almost very similar to how people react to celebrities when they get in a relationship.
Yeah, they're like, why is she with him?
And
He's
not me.
obviously supposed to be with me.
It's a little delusional.
Little bit.
Sorry, everybody, but
that's my man. I've never met him.
But he's my husband. Just so you know. Okay.
She knew how she appeared, seated atop a horse like a prized young lady being brought to the castle. So Selena only smiled at them, tossed her hair, and batted her eyelashes at the prince's back. Her arms stung. What? She hissed at the captain of the guard as he pinched her. You look ridiculous, he said through his teeth, smiling at the crowd. She mirrored his expression. They're ridiculous.
Very ridiculous.
Be quiet and act normally. His breath was hot on her neck.
Ooh. I'm telling you, the hormones are
There's a steaming going on. I should jump from this horse and run, she said, waving at a young man who gaped at what he thought was the court lady's attention. I'd vanish in an instant. Yes, he said, you'd vanish in 3 arrows buried in your spine. Such peasant talk. They entered the shopping district where the clouds swelled between the trees lined with broad avenues of white stone. The glass storefronts were nearly invisible beyond the crowd with ravenous sort of hunger arose as they passed shop after shop. Each window displayed dresses and tunics which stood proudly between lines of sparkling jewelry and broad-brimmed hats clumped together like bouquets of flowers. Above it all, the glass castle loomed, so high that she had to tilt her head back to see the uppermost towers. Ooh. Why had they chosen such a long, inconvenient route? Did they really wish to parade about? Selena swallowed. There was a break in the buildings, and sails spread like moth's wings greeted them as they turned into the avenue along the Avery. Ships sat docked along the pier, a massive rope and netting with sailors calling to each other, too busy to notice the royal procession. At the sound of the whip, her head snapped to the side. Slaves staggered down the gangplank of the merchant ship. A mix of conquered nations bound together, each of them in the had the hollow, raggedy faces she's seen many times before. Most of the slaves were prisoners of war, rebels who survived the butchering blocks and endless lines of Aderlin's armies. Some were probably people who had been caught or accused of trying to practice magic, but others were just ordinary folk in the wrong place at the wrong time. Oh yeah, that's right. She's part fairy.
Yeah, we just discovered that when she was camping at night.
Yeah, we forgot to add that in there.
We forgot to add that.
She's part fairy, and she has some kind of power that we have no idea.
Yes.
So
because they were talking about how fairies in the woods are no longer there, or it was like superstition or folklore stories that they were saying, because it's been so long that any activity in this magical force has happened that the men were mocking it. She's like, "Oh, you don't know that? Like they are out there, or whatever." Like, "Well, what do you know?" And then she really didn't say much.
But so, she kind of hinted that she
has fairy blood,
but not completely full.
Yes.
Now that she noticed that there were countless chained slaves working the docks, lifting, sweating, holding parasols, and pouring water, her eyes on the ground or in the sky, never what was on before them. She wanted to leap from her horse and run to them, or to simply scream that she wasn't a part of the prince's court, that she had no hand in bringing them there, chained and starved and beaten, and she had worked and bled with them and their families and friends. She was not like these monsters that destroyed everything, that she had done something nearly 2 years ago, when she had freed almost 200 slaves from the pirate lord.
You go, girl.
There we go.
You go, girl. Mm-hmm. She was 18. She said 2 years ago she was 18 when she did that.
Is she 20?
She's 20.
Oh.
She said she was 20 because Charles or whatever is 22 because she asked how old he was. Yeah. Anyways.
Even that, though, wasn't enough. The city suddenly The city was suddenly separate, ripped from her. People still waved and bowed, cheered and laughed, throwing flowers and other nonsense before their horses. She had difficulty breathing. Sooner than she would have liked, the iron and glass gate of the castle appeared. Lattice doors opened, and dozens of guards flanked the cobblestone path that led through the archway. Spears erect, they held the rectangular shields, and their eyes were dark beneath bronze helmets. Each wore a red cape. Their armor was tarnished, as well as crafted from copper and leather. Beyond the archway sloped a road lined with trees of gold and silver. Glass lampposts sprouted out of the hedges bordering the path. The sounds of the city vanished as they passed under another arch, this one made of sparkling glass, and then the castle rose before them. Chartle sighed and dismounted in the open courtyard. Hands pulled Selena from the saddle and set her on wobbly legs. Glass gleamed everywhere, and a hand clamped her on her shoulder. Stable boys quietly and quickly led her horse away. Chartle pulled her to his side, keeping a firm grip on her cloak as the crown prince approached.
I'm sure he liked that.
600 rooms, military and servants' quarters, 3 gardens, a game park, and stables on either side, said Dorian, staring at his home. Who could ever need such space? She managed a weak smile, a bit baffled by his sudden charm. I don't know how you sleep at night with only a wall of glass keeping you from death. She glanced up, but quickly lowered her focus to the ground. She wasn't afraid of heights, but the thought of being so high up with nothing but glass to protect her made her stomach clench. Then you're like me, Dorian chuckled. Thank the gods I give you rooms in a stone castle. I hate for you to be uncomfortable. Deciding that scowling at him wouldn't be the wisest decision, Selena looked instead towards the massive castle gates. The doors were made of cloudy red glass, gaping at her like the mouth of a giant. But she couldn't see the interior was made of stone, and it seemed to her that the glass castle had been dropped on top of the original building. What a ridiculous idea, a castle made of glass.
We have here in San Diego a home that sits on top of a corner of a building in downtown.
We do?
We do.
Huh.
I forget, it's something point or whatever, but it's a house that sits on top of the corner of the building leaning over in San Diego and downtown, or Point Loma area. Interesting. Really cool. You should Google it. It's pretty cool. That just reminded me.
I was just thinking that they have a stone inner wall and then a glass outer wall, and which makes more sense because I was if it's glass, you can see everybody changing and getting it on and all that kind of stuff that's going on in the castle. I would not want my castle made of glass because everyone can see everything inside.
And you can break through glass so
exactly,
easily.
And that's what she was saying. I don't feel comfortable being in a glass palace because somebody can
attack you really
easily. So she was like, I don't like this. Which is why she was like, good thing it's a stone castle.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't want that either. Just I own a house, I wouldn't want that.
Well, said Dorian, you fattened up a bit and your skin is some color now. Welcome to my home, Selena Sarthodon. He nodded, or Slardovian. He nodded to a few passing nobles who scraped and bowed. The competition begins tomorrow. Captain Westfall will show you to your chambers. She rolled her shoulders and searched for any sign of her competition. No one else seemed to be arriving, though. The prince nodded to another flock of cooing courtiers and didn't look at either the assassin or the captain of the guard as he spoke again. I have to meet with my father, he said, running his gaze along the body of the particularly pretty lady. He winked at her, and she hid her face behind a lace fan as she continued to walk. Dorian nodded to Chartle. I'll see you later tonight. Without saying another word to Selena, he strode up the steps to the palace, his red cape billowing in the wind. The crown prince lived up to his word. Her chambers were in the wing of the stone castle and much bigger than she anticipated. They consisted of a bedroom that had an attached bathing chamber and a dressing room, a small dining room, and a music and gaming room.
Wow.
Each room was furnished with gold and crimson. Her bathroom was also decorated with a giant tapestry along one wall, with couches and deep cushioned chairs, scattered in a tasteful manner. Her balcony overlooked a fountain in one of the gardens, and whichever it was beautiful. Never mind the guards that she spotted posted beneath. Chartle left her, and Selena didn't wait to hear the door shut before closing herself in the bedroom. Between the murmurs of appreciation during Chartle's brief tour of the homes, she counted the windows. 12. The exits. 1. And the guards posted outside her door, window, and balcony. 9. They were each armed with sword, knife, and crossbow. And though they were alert while her captain passed by, she knew a crossbow wasn't exactly a light weight to bear for hours on end. Selena crept to her bedroom window, pressing herself against the marble wall and glancing down. Sure enough, the guards had already swapped their crossbows against their back. It would waste precious seconds to grab a weapon and load it, seconds that she could take their swords, cut their throats, and vanish into the gardens. She smiled as she stepped fully in front of the window to study the garden. Its far border ended with trees of a game walk. She knew enough about the castle to know that she was on the southern side, and if she went through the game park, she'd reach a stone wall and the Avery River beyond. Make her flowers falling out.
Yeah. Just a little tad.
Oh. Slowly turning back into Avalon instead of Aline.
Yes.
Selena opened and closed the doors of her armoire, dresser, and vanity. Of course, there weren't any weapons, not even a fire poker, but she grabbed a few bone hairpins left on the back of the dresser drawer and some string she found in the mending basket in her giant dressing room. No needles. She knelt on the carpeted floor of the dressing room, which was void of clothes, and one eye on the door beyond her. She made quick work of the hairpins, snapping their heads off before bending them all together with the string. When she finished, she held up the object and frowned. Well, it wasn't a knife, but clumped together like that, the jagged points of broken hairpins could do some damage.
Yeah. It could.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you, kept bending, I was thinking about the ones that are in my hair right now. If you, bend them a bunch of times and then they snap, and then you have those metal pins on the
sharp edge.
Yeah. You could do some damage.
You could hurt someone.
Yeah.
With a pencil. You could hurt someone.
But I don't know how she tied them together with string. That's
Where did she get string?
She got it from the
tapestry?
No, she said that she
in the drawer?
Yeah, the drawer.
The drawer.
It was like a sewing drawer. They had no needles or anything, but it had the string. Right. And she said that she took the hairpins and snapped them and then used the string to make something. So I don't know how that happened, but I don't know what she would use the string for. I'm thinking brass knuckle style.
That's what I was thinking.
It was brass knuckle style. Put
Wolverine.
Yeah, so
sticking it in there.
Even a slicing motion like that
would hurt. Do some damage. My printer's making noises. Sorry, guys. I don't know why.
I can barely hear it. She tested the tips with a finger and winced as a shard of bone pricked her callous skin. Yes, it would certainly hurt if she jammed it into a guard's neck and disable him long enough for her to grab his weapons. Selena re-entered the bedroom, yawning, and stood at the end of the mattress.
That's all she really needs to do is just disarm them.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly,
are you really gonna do it though?
I'm if you become her. I mean, I understand her wanting to leave, but she was offered a chance of freedom, complete freedom.
No strings attached.
No strings attached. Nobody's gonna
stop
her from making a life for herself, and no one's gonna be constantly chasing her.
It should be 24 or so.
Exactly. I'm you got a full life ahead of you. I'm why not?
Just
why not?
Tough it out, I think.
I would tough it out too.
Mm-hmm.
Selena re-entered the bedroom, yawning, and stood on the edge of the mattress to tuck the makeshift weapon into one of the folds of the partial canopy over the bed. When she concealed it, she glanced around the room again. Something about the dimensions seemed a little off. Something with the height of the walls, but she couldn't be sure. Regardless, the canopy provided plenty of hiding places. What else could she take without them noticing? Charlotte had probably had the room looked over before they arrived. She listened at the bedroom door for any signs of activity. When she was certain no one was in her chamber, she entered the foyer and strode straight to the gaming room. She beheld the billiard cues along the far wall, the heavy-colored balls stacked on the green felt table, and grinned. Charlotte wasn't nearly as smart as he thought he was. Ultimately, she left the billiard equipment, if only because it would arouse suspicion if it all disappeared. But it would be easy enough to get a stick if she needed to escape, or use one of the dense balls to knock the guards unconscious. Exhausted, she returned to the bedroom and finally hoisted herself into the enormous bed. The mattress was so soft that she sank down a few inches, and it was wide enough for 3 people to sleep without noticing each other. That's a nice bed.
Nice.
It's a nice bed.
Very nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like it.
Yeah. Curling on her side, Selena's eyes grew heavier and heavier. She slept for an hour until a servant announced the arrival of the tailor to fit her with a proper court attire. And thus another hour was spent being measured and pinned and sitting through the presentation of different fabrics and colors. She hated most of them. A few caught her attention, but when she tried to recommend specific styles that flattered her, she received only a wave of a hand and the curl of a lip. She considered jabbing one of the tailor's pearl-headed pins through his eye. She bathed, feeling almost as dirty as she had in Dover, and was grateful for the gentle service that attended to her. Many of the wounds had scabbed and remained as thin white lines, though her back retained most of the damage. After nearly 2 hours of pampering, trimming her hair, shaping her nails, and scraping away the calluses on her feet and hands, Selena grinned at the mirror in the dressing room. Only the capital could have servants that did such fine work. She looked spectacular, utterly and completely spectacular. She wore a dress with skirts and long sleeves of white, streaked with and spotted with orchid purple. The indigo bodice was bordered with a thin line of gold, and an ice-white cape hung from her shoulders. Her hair half up and twisted into a fuchsia ribbon that fell into loose waves.
I would wear something like that.
I know. I'm like, this is beautiful. I'm like, I could dig it. I could dig it.
Right?
But her smile faltered as she remembered why exactly she was here. The king's champion indeed. She looked more like the king's lapdog. Beautiful, said an older female voice, and Selena pivoted, the yards of cumbersome fabric twisting on her. Her corset, the stupid, cursed thing, pushed on her ribs so hard that the breath was sucked from her. This was why she mostly preferred tunics and pants. I was just thinking while I was reading, I was like, women in London must have learned not to breathe.
Quote that movie. Put it in the comments.
Figure out which movie it is.
Yes.
It was a woman, large but well contained within the gown of cobalt and peach that marked her as one of the servants of a royal household. Her face, while a bit wrinkled, was red-cheeked and finely colored. She bowed. "Philippa Spindlehead," said the woman, rising. "Your personal servant. You must be—" "Selena Seldarlian," she said flatly. Philippa's eyes widened. "Keep that to yourself, miss," she whispered. "I'm the only one who knows, and the guards, I suppose." "Then what do the other people think about all my guards?" she asked. Philippa approached, ignoring Selena's glower as she adjusted the folds of the assassin's gown, fluffing them into the right places. "Oh, the other champions have guards outside their rooms too, or people just think that you're another lady friend of the prince." "Another?" Philippa smiled, but kept her eyes upon the dress. "He has a big heart, His Highness."
Heart. Yeah.
He's got a big heart.
Heart.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
So amusing. Heart. We're gonna go with that.
We'll just go with that.
Mm-hmm.
Another good way for he sleeps around. He's got so much love to spare, that prince.
So much love to give. Such a lovely, lovely man.
Oh, yes. Selena wasn't all that surprised. "A favorite with women? It's not my place to talk about His Highness, and you should mind your tongue, too." "I'll do as I please." She surveyed the withered face of the servant. Why send such a soft woman to serve her? She'd overpower her in a heartbeat. "Then you'll find yourself back in these mines, Poppet." Philippa put a hand on her hip. "Oh, don't scowl. You'll ruin your face when you look like that." She reached to pinch Selena's cheek, and Selena pulled away. "Are you mad? I'm an assassin, not a court idiot." Philippa chuckled. "You're still a woman, and so long as you're under my charge, you'll act like one. Or, word help me." Selena blinked and slowly said, "You're awfully bold. I hope you don't act like this around the other court ladies." That was surely a reason why I was assigned to attend to you." "You understand that my occupation entails, don't you?" "No disrespect, but this sort of finery is worth far more than your seeing my head roll No disrespect, but this sort of finery is worth far more than seeing my head roll on the ground." Selena's upper lip pulled back from her teeth as the servant turned from the room. "Don't make such a face." Philippa called over her shoulder, It squishes that little nose of yours. Selena could only gape as the servant shuffled away. She's so sassy. Such an old sassy lady.
I like it.
Putting her in her place.
Exactly.
Calling her out.
A little dose of her own medicine. I like it, honestly.
She's like, I don't care. I'm going to say what I want.
Yeah.
And you better act like a princess, even though you're not.
Mm-hmm.
The Crown Prince of Aderlin stared at his father unblinkingly, waiting for him to speak. Seated on his glass throne, the King of Aderlin watched him back. Sometimes Dorian forgot how little he looked like his father. It was his younger brother, Julian, who took after the king, with his broad frame and round, sharp-eyed face. But Dorian, tall, toned, and elegant, bore no resemblance to him. And then there was the matter of Dorian's sapphire eyes. Not even his mother had his eyes. No one knew where they came from. She has arrived? His father asked. His voice was hard, edged with a clash of shields and scream of arrows. As far as greetings went, that was probably the kindest one he'd ever got. She shouldn't pose any threat or problem while she's here, Dorian said as calmly as he could. Picking Sardothian had been a gamble, a bet against his father's tolerance. He was about to see if it was worth it. You think, like every fool, she's murdered. Dorian straightened as the king continued. She owes allegiance to no one but herself, and won't balk at putting a knife through your heart. Which is why she'll be fully capable of winning the competition of yours. His father said nothing, and Dorian went on, his heart racing. Come to think of it, the whole competition might be unnecessary.
He's vouching for her.
He is. He's like, she'll be good. She'll win. Ha ha ha.
We don't even need it. We got it.
We got it. We're going to win. You say that because you're afraid of losing good coin. If only his father knew that he just ventured to find a champion to win gold, but also to get away from him for as long as he could manage. Dorian steeled his nerve, remembering the words he'd been brooding over for the entire journey from Andover. I guarantee she'll be able to fulfill her duties. We truly don't need to train her. I've told you already, it's foolish to have this competition at all. If you do not mind your tongue, I'll have her use you for practice. And then what? Have Holland take the throne? Do not doubt me, Dorian, his father challenged. You might think this girl can win, but you forget that Duke Parrington has sponsored Kane. You would have been better off picking a champion like him, forged in blood and iron on the battlefield, a true champion. Dorian stuffed his hands in his pockets. Don't you find the title a little ridiculous, given that our champions are no more than criminals? His father rose from his throne and pointed to the map painted on the wall of his council chamber. I am the conqueror of this continent and soon to be the ruler of all of Aria. You will not question me. Dorian realized how close he was to crossing a boundary between impertinence and rebellion, a border that he was very, very careful to maintain. He mumbled his apologies. We're at war with Wendelin, his father went on. I have enemies all around. Who better to do my work than someone utterly grateful for being granted not only a second chance, but also wealth and power of my name? The king smiled when Dorian did not reply. Dorian tried not to flinch as his father studied him. Parrington tells me that you behaved yourself well on this trip. With Parrington as a watchdog, I couldn't do otherwise. I'll have some peasant woman banging on the gate, wailing that you've broken her heart. Dorian's face colored, but he did not drop his father's gaze. I've toiled too hard and too long to establish my empire. You will not complicate it with illegitimate heirs. Marry a proper woman, then dally as you will after you give me a grandson or two. When you are king, you will understand the consequences. When I'm king, I won't declare control over Terrason then and claims of inheritance. Charles had warned him to watch his mouth when speaking to his father, but when he spoke to him like that, as if he was a pampered idiot. Even if you offered them self-rule, those rebels would mount your head on a pike before the gates of Ornith. Perhaps alongside all of my illegitimate heirs, if I'm so fortunate. The king gave him a poisonous smile. My silver-tongued son. They watched each other in silence before Dorian spoke again. Perhaps you would consider our difficulty in getting past Wendelton's naval defenses to be the sign that you should stop playing at being a god. Playing? The king smiled, his crooked teeth glowing yellow in the firelight. Ew. I'm not playing, and this is not a game. Dorian's shoulders stiffened. Though she may look pleasant, she's still a witch. You are to keep your distance, understood? Who? The assassin? She's dangerous, boy, even if you're sponsoring her. She wants one thing and one thing only. Don't think she won't use you to get it. If you court her, the consequences will not be pleasant. Not from her and not from me. And if I condescend to advocate with her, what would you do, father? Throw me in the mines as well? His father was upon him like before Dorian could brace himself. The back of the king's hand connected with Dorian's cheek, and the prince staggered but regained his countenance. His face throbbed, stinging so badly he fought to keep his eyes from watering. Son or no son, the king snarled, I am still your king. You will obey me, Dorian Havillard, or you will pay. I'll have no more of these questionings. Knowing he was only cause for trouble for himself if he stayed, the crown prince of Aderlin bowed silently, left his father, eyes gleaming with barely controlled anger. Ooh. So him and his father are not getting along.
No, they do not have a good
They do not have a good relationship. He's already kind of questioning the assassin, and the dad can see it. He's like, yeah, do not sleep with her. Or
don't.
Or I will be upset and you will have consequences. So apparently he thinks with his downstairs brain rather than his upstairs brain a lot.
Often.
So
his dad
Ted's already knows that and is like,
don't do it, boy.
Don't do it. Don't do it, boy.
Oh my god. That's too comical.
So basically we know that he sleeps around. So he's a playa. Which is probably why he was like admiring her from afar. He's like, I want to tap that ass.
Conquest.
Mm-hmm.
Is what they would call it at that time.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. Just another knot on the belt.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Don't do
As
it.
for Turtle, kind of actually wants to know a little bit about her.
Yeah, he seems a little bit more grounded and not as arrogant as the Prince Dorian does. He sounds pretty arrogant to me.
And I think they both do.
Well,
but that's also along with her personality. She's very...
arrogant.
Yeah.
She is.
Like calls to like.
True.
So, it kind of matches.
Yeah.
She's not going to be with somebody who's a pushover.
No. Because it's not a challenge for her. She wants someone who will challenge her.
Yeah, so...
Because she's a lot.
So she's not going to pick someone who's like, okay, do what you want, honey.
Yeah.
So, they kind of have to be arrogant. Like, that matches her personality. So
it gives them both a challenge.
Yeah.
Both, like, parties.
I have a feeling that we're going to have some of those, like, sassy, quick-witted, like...
comebacks?
Like, flirts.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Where it's like...
Like a little dash here, a
little
dash there.
Little bit of spice.
Yes. I'm excited to see this. I'm interested to see how the champions, quotes, how they're going to fight.
Well, and it sounds like Kane
is pretty good. Like someone to really compete with. So,
and he said forged in blood, so he probably has a good track record too.
Yeah, they're probably about equal.
Unless Kane is another suitor in the future.
He could be.
And then they don't want to kill each other.
So they end up helping each other.
This is sounding a lot like Hunger Games.
It is, isn't it? I said that at the beginning!
Where she's like, oh, I love PETA. We're not going to kill each other.
Yes! That's exactly what it sounds like. Ooh, this will be interesting because... not only would she have Kane, she would have
Charles and Dorian. So it's not even like a triangle, it's like a pyramid. I can't make a pyramid with my
You mean like trapezius or whatever?
No, trapezius is a muscle.
No, sorry.
You and your anatomy quiz.
Sorry, that's all I'm thinking about.
Isn't that like...
I mean, a
Isn't your
pyramid...
trapezius like right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A pyramid is a triangle, honey.
No. A triangle is a two-dimensional, and then triangle is like the third edge, so it's three-dimensional. I know you're bad at math. It's okay. It's okay.
No, I understand the dimensions.
But like, I was thinking about like the sides. So you have like one side going up, another side
and
going
she's
up,
the
and
middle.
another side, and she's like the little point in the middle.
Gotcha.
Except for a triangle. It's like pyramid.
It's a 3D triangle.
Yeah. I was like, it's okay.
No. But, yeah. Yeah, I'm getting there.
Hey, but you know what a trapezius is. So.
Your trapezius muscle. I just actually wrote... anyways, anatomy.
I think that's why you were like, you mean a trapezius?
Isn't it like trapezoid or something?
Trapezoid is like...
Short, long.
Yeah, it's like here, right here, and then like diagonal.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Trapezoid, not trapezius. They're very similar.
If there was no point.
No, like in spelling.
Oh,
I was thinking of the
like, word. It's not really.
No, I was thinking of the
like,
word.
It's got 4 sides. Maybe it's kind of like if you like sawed the top off. Ooh, goodbye. Where's the clip? Oh, it's still in my shirt. Okay, we'll put you back on.
Okay.
Maybe. There we go.
Perfect.
Back to normal. Oops.
Well, anyways, it's gonna be a little bit of a sticky situation.
I think so. And I think next chapter we'll get some maybe even the first competition, like the first competition.
I think by now we should.
Because he said that it starts tomorrow, so I'm assuming
it's
the first competition with her.
Hunger Games will begin.
So it's kind of like the night before.
Yeah.
Getting ready.
And I think that they're about to attend like a dinner, like a champions dinner. That's why she's so pretty.
Yeah, because they were asking about her like robes and stuff like that,
and her cape and gowns.
I'm wondering if they're gonna parade. They kind of paraded. They kind of paraded her through the city already, but I'm thinking I'm going back to Hunger Games. I think this will be like
how they do in Hunger Games, where they get really dressed up, and then they do like that interview or whatever, but still dressed up.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be like a citywide event thing.
Yeah.
Though I thought it was very interesting that her handmaid was like, don't tell anybody your name.
Yeah, I did think that was interesting too. That she doesn't want her real identity to be known.
Yeah.
By people.
So what are they calling her?
So then what does the king know her as then?
Well, I'm sure the king knows that she's Selena, but he doesn't want everybody else knowing that she's Selena. So so I'm like, what are they going to call her? They
might not tell her till the last minute. Like before she walks out or whatever.
You are, from now on, called number 3. You will only go by number 3.
District 3. Anyways, okay.
Dehumanizing the characters a little bit.
Maybe. Tad. Well, I think it's going to be interesting in the next chapter. There's going to be a lot more action, I think, and not so much internal dialogue.
Unless it's the dinner.
What does the chapter say? Oh, just 8.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, flowing behind the edges.
Selena walked down a marble hall.
Yeah, in her purple and white.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they have to kill each other in beautiful robes. Looks like she's writing a note to somebody.
Yeah. Anyways, this will be fun. It'll be fun. And yeah, until then, we'll see you
next week.
Bye.